Hi, my name is Pedro Cortez, and I'm sending you this video as part of my application to the awesome opportunity of Community Outreach Program Manager at Imagine Scholar. First, let me just say that this is a position that truly excites me, and I do believe that I'm a very good fit for it, and I hope by the end of this video that you share this vision with me. But let's see. First, just some few basics. I'm 24 years old and I'm Portuguese. I was born and raised in the sunny capital of the country, Lisbon. And now I wanted to kind of start from, the very beginning of my academic and professional track to give you a little bit of more insights of who I am, both at a personal and professional level. So I wanted to go back to the year of 2012 when I was faced with the decision of which bachelor to take after leaving high school. So I decided to pursue a business administration and economics background, mostly because the country I was living in, Portugal, just came from a very troubling economic crisis after the year of 2008 and also 2009. And I wanted to understand what could be the role of private institutions and the financial sector in contributing to a better social welfare of our population, which was struggling so much at that time. While I was not very amused with the content of the bachelor, I kept on going mostly because I was also volunteering at ISEC, which is the biggest international students organization of the world. And although I could not see through the content of my bachelor the impact of organizations in social development, through the volunteering work that I was doing at this organization, I could understand better the role of organizations within this context. After 3 years, I left with a diploma from a highly ranked university, but with still a very skeptical view on how organizations could contribute towards a greater social purpose. Therefore, I decided to take a gap year to try to at least use some of the knowledge I just got from my bachelor into a social purpose. Well, during this gap year, I spent 6 months in Bogota, the capital of Colombia. During my time there, I was teaching English in the second poorest neighborhood of the town. This was an innovative program co-designed with the British Council and the Colombian Ministry of Education, which relied on cultural immersion to teach English. So I was, other than, of course, teaching English, I was also supposed to share a lot about my culture and my identity. And I was also always supposed to talk in English during classes, although the level of English of my students was not the best. I was also teaching kids from 5 years old until 17 years old. And although it was not, I think, it was not the best model to approach it, I really liked the innovative way of doing so and trying something different. And that's why I also think that there's here a bit of a fit with Imagine Scholar, only with the difference that Imagine Scholar is, of course, being successful in their innovative model. But this is what I also strive for, an innovative approach to solving issues. This was also a very, even though it's a cliche word, it really applies to me, a life-changing experience, and mostly a big shift in my mindset, as I always before privileged probably my economical situation rather than my passions or interests. And after this experience, I clearly noticed that regardless of my financial situation, I wanted to pursue a career in international development with a social purpose, with a cause, because during this time in Bogota, I was actually happy. Every morning that I would wake up, I was happy to go every morning to work to do something that I really loved and enjoyed. And also, most of all, because I left with the idea that I became a support tool to empower these kids in living their socioeconomic condition, as English can be a very powerful tool for them to leave the cycle of poverty that they're usually thrown at their neighborhood. So in the end, it was a very important experience for me that made me believe that, okay, this is the career path that I want to take my life to now. And to do so, of course, I knew that I had to also gain more knowledge and more soft skills within this international development context. So I found a master's which would relate me to this area. But first, before that, I needed to, of course, guarantee that I had enough funds to do so. And I wanted to give it at least a try in Portugal to the business background that I had, and to try to understand that if there was really no way for me in the corporate world in Portugal. So I got in the biggest utilities company in Portugal, EDP, where I was an intern for 9 months. And which, guess what? I was not anymore happy waking up every day to do my job, actually quite unhappy. So, of course, I kept up with my contract and with my compromise for 9 months. But again, very on the opposite side of what I was doing in Bogota. I was really not enjoying what I was doing. But on the bright side, at least gave me enough funds to then do my master's on the year after. So on the year after, I moved to the Netherlands to do a Master's of Science in Public Policy and Human Development. This is a double degree offered by United Nations University and the University of Maastricht. And within this Master's, I specialized in economics for developing countries. Here I was constantly challenged with different solutions within the international development context for poverty alleviation, to create wealth, to reduce inequality. And a solution that I wanted to study at the time was actually the role of social enterprises in the education within the sub-Saharan African context. At the time, it was not possible because it was quite difficult to measure the outcomes of education, which sometimes needs a study, of course, of 5-10 years. So I decided to almost study the same, but instead of in the education context, I studied in the agriculture context. So because of this, I went to Kenya for 2 months, where I created my own field research based on a grant award that I got for my master's, which aimed at proving that social enterprises, either for-profit or non-profit, were creating wealth for the people at the bottom of the pyramid in Kenya. In the end, I was quite successful because I did manage to prove that. Not only that, but also that they were creating an inclusive and sustainable kind of growth, and that they could be an innovative model that people could look at instead of just opting for traditional foreign aid. So this is where I'm at now, because I just recently finished my master thesis. I just defended it. So now I wanted to look for the next challenging role of my life. And that's when I came across with this opportunity at Imagine Scholar. And well, this is why I was saying at the beginning that I really believe that it's a perfect fit for me, because it's at the intersection of three things that are a passion for me now, which is education within the international development context, innovative solution for it, and the sub-Saharan African context, which I got more interested in especially after my thesis field research. So at this point of my life, I really want to focus my career in education within the development context, because I've seen with my own eyes that this is a powerful tool to reduce inequalities, to fight the socioeconomic hardship of people, that otherwise, without this tool, sometimes can be forced to be perpetuated in vicious cycles of poverty. And also mostly because in my country, from my background, people around me always have seen education as something guaranteed, and I always believed that we are not taught how to privilege enough. And in Colombia, I was faced with a different reality where education people were much more eager and motivated to learn, and I want to be part of people that I want to be part of a process that helps people that are eager to learn to do so. Well, now enough of what has been my past experiences. I also wanted to talk a bit about myself, of course. I do believe that I'm a very creative person. I like to think outside of the box or try to come up with innovative solutions. I think that was also why at the time of my volunteering period in Isaac, I was appointed as marketing director, although I had no experience in it. Mostly because I always want to try to think of a complete different strategy to approach a situation and to test that. And only if that strategy doesn't work, then completely realize, okay, this is a strategy that doesn't work, rather than trying to come up with the same strategy or simple variations of the same strategy. I also think I'm a very open-minded person, mostly because I had opportunity to travel a lot. I have traveled to 66 countries by now, actually. I was very lucky, mostly because my family used to travel a lot. Then, as I also mentioned, I lived in Colombia and I had a bit of time to explore Central America. During my exchange, my exchange semester at university, I lived in South Korea. So all these experiences also made me quite more of kind of a global citizen, or more oriented towards helping out not only the people that could be around me, but also created me a responsibility towards the world itself. And I've always been quite eager to try different foods, experience new cultures, as I also get bored quite easily, let's put it like that. I'm quite a social person. I love to annoy the people around me with my awful jokes. So if I have the chance to live with more people, that would be better. Honestly, I've always preferred my experiences when I was living in shared apartments or flats, rather than just staying in my own individual room, complaining about my loneliness. So that would never be an issue. Well, now more on the quirk side, I don't like chocolate. And I always like to mention this because it usually comes as a shock to people. For me, well, I never understand how deeply bad this is. But I've never liked chocolate since I was a kid. The few times I tried it, I always puked, but I'm also not allergic to it. But it was a quite sad time of my life when I was a kid and I was not enjoying chocolate. As you can imagine, most of the birthday cakes are made out of chocolate. So I was always that sad kid in the corner that couldn't eat the birthday cake. I'm also afraid of heights, even though I did skydiving before in my life, and I really want to do bungee jumping. So this is also something I cannot really explain. Once I'm on top of a building and I look down, I feel very anxious and dizzy. But I'm also a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so if it's for skydiving or bungee jumping, then I'm up there and just probably close my eyes and dive. My mind also, my mind always runs all over the place a bit. So I might look a bit quite calm on the outside, but inside here, there's always something else going on, which I think has also been an advantage because it's always made me also quite proactive and ambitious towards my goals. So yeah, actually, as I mentioned before, I travel a lot in my life, but I've never traveled to South Africa. And now I would love to actually go there, not as a traveler, but to be part of a project that I would truly believe in. I'm also supposed to mention that I found this opportunity in Idealist. And as of regarding my starting date, well, as I mentioned, I just finished my master thesis and I'm looking for a job at the moment, so I could actually start working already by tomorrow. Well, tomorrow not be ideally because I would have to find a cheaper flight, which from Lisbon to South Africa tomorrow, that would really not happen. But yeah, I'm actually available to start as soon as possible. And regarding my ending date, Well, I've seen in the post that it's you're expecting a 1 to 2 years commitment. I'm more than comfortable to already assume a 1 year commitment, and then after that, based on my expectations and your expectations, and if my profile was really fitting into the project, maybe then prolong it, or not, according to what would be both of our interests. Yeah, so I'm already on 15 minutes now, so I will stop by now. I would really love to hear back from you. Hopefully, that would be a very good sign. And thank you so much for your time, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.